Reclining on my back in the stark, sterile confines of a hospital room, the overhead light blared down like a spotlight, illuminating my sense of disbelief. This wasn't how I had imagined my day would unfold. A chill coursed through my hand as I clutched my phone, but my body felt as if it were engulfed in flames. My heart raced, echoing the call ringing on the other end. "Amanda," I croaked when she answered, the pain in my abdomen making it difficult to speak. "I'm so tired and in so much pain that I can barely talk. Please, can you come and take the twins for me? I don't have anyone else." Her characteristic long sigh, one I had learned to associate with her annoyance, echoed through the receiver. "Daniel, I'm going right now. I already told you I have tickets to a show tonight. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be making this call." I swallowed hard, trying to push through the searing agony radiating from my abdomen. I kept telling myself it wasn't serious, but the discovery of internal bleeding during the emergency procedure had shaken my composure. "Oh my God," I stuttered, but she interrupted me, her tone irritated rather than concerned. "What do you want me to do? I can't just drop everything because you suddenly need my help." As I tightened my grip on the phone and took a deep breath, frustration surged within me. The reason I had no one else to turn to was Amanda's relentless disapproval of every babysitter, friend, and relative I had relied upon. My parents were gone, my in-laws had become distant since my first wife passed away 3 years ago, and my best friend Nate was out of town on business. Amanda was the last person I could turn to, yet instead of showing empathy, she was fixated on her evening plans. "I have nobody else to watch the kids," I managed to reply, striving to keep my voice steady despite the turmoil within. "I'm already on a gurney. They're prepping me for surgery." "You're being dramatic," she snapped. "What do you want me to do? Cancel my plans? I've been waiting months for this show. It's Elton John, Daniel. Elton freaking John." Closing my eyes, I felt my heartbeat thundering in my ears, the weight of my situation pressing down on me. All she could think about was the excitement of her concert while I lay here, my life hanging in the balance. Meanwhile, Amanda was turning her back on my children, Caleb and Sophia, who were only 4 years old and had already lost their mother before they could even remember her face. I was all they had, and I was about to undergo anesthesia without assurance of waking up. "Are you really saying you can't miss one concert to watch your stepchildren while I undergo surgery?" My voice was dangerously quiet, filled with disbelief. "Daniel, I'm not their mother. That was your first wife's role. You wanted to play single dad. I didn't sign up for this." Her words hit me like a physical blow, shattering any illusions I had harbored about her feelings for my children. I had clung to the hope that, given time, she might grow to care for them, but now it was clear she never would. "So that's it. You're just going to leave them alone while I'm in surgery?" "They'll be fine," she replied dismissively. "Just get a nurse or something to keep an eye on them. Hospitals have those, don't they?" Numbness washed over me as I internalized her words. She didn't understand the cruelty embedded in them. I turned my gaze to the corner of the room, where my children sat in tiny plastic chairs, clutching their toy animals, their wide, terrified eyes fixed on me. The sight of their innocent fear twisted my heart. "I hope you enjoy your concert," I said flatly, feeling an odd sense of detachment. "Oh, don't be like that," she laughed mockingly, her tone dripping with condescension. "You always act like the world is ending whenever something happens to you. Maybe if you weren't so emotional, you'd see how exhausting it is to be around you." Her choice of the word, exhausting, stung deeply. Amanda had never lifted a finger to help me raise the twins. She hadn't comforted them when they cried for their mother, nor had she cared about the sleepless nights, the fevers, or the scraped knees. I had stayed in the relationship not for her, but for the delusion that she might eventually come to love them. Today, she had made it painfully clear that she never would. A firm hand on my shoulder jolted me from my spiraling thoughts. It was Rebecca, the nurse monitoring my vitals, who had been listening to the conversation. "I'll contact someone for you," she murmured softly. "You don't have to go through this alone." Amanda's voice reverberated in my mind. I didn't sign up for this. She was right, she hadn't. But I hadn't signed up for a partner who would abandon me on my deathbed, either. My fingers moved instinctively to my financial app, and within moments, I canceled all automatic payments I had been making for her. Rent, credit card payments, gone. For years, Amanda had drained me, But that was over. The phone remained near my ear, and Amanda continued to speak, taunting me as if this were merely a minor inconvenience rather than the end of our relationship. "You know what, Amanda?" I interjected, my voice calm and resolute. "Don't ever call me again." I ended the call before she could respond, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt an unfamiliar sensation wash over me. Peace. Not anger, not heartbreak, just a serene clarity. For the first time since my first wife's death, I knew precisely what I had to do. In the days that followed, Amanda showed up at my office, demanding to speak with me after my abrupt departure. Security had to escort her out, and the best part was that no one sided with her anymore. People weren't fools. They could see her unraveling. The same friends she had boasted to about dating other men now watched her fall apart, and not one of them came to her aid. Her boyfriend had ghosted her the moment her financial support vanished. The truth hit her hard. She was utterly alone. One evening, I received a call from Jessica, an old acquaintance who had known Amanda before our marriage. "Hey," she said cautiously. "I ran into Amanda today." "I noticed," I interrupted. "Let me guess, she's telling everyone I'm a monster?" Jessica hesitated, and I could hear the concern in her voice. "Actually, no. She looks terrible, Daniel. Like, really. She's sleeping in a motel right now. I guess she has nowhere else to go." I pinched the bridge of my nose, picturing Amanda in some dingy motel room surrounded by the wreckage of her choices. For a fleeting moment, relief washed over me. 4 years, I had been the one suffering in our marriage, making sacrifices while she took and took. Now, the tables had turned. "Are you really not going to help her?" Jessica asked tentatively. "No," I replied simply, feeling a weight lift from my chest. "I don't blame you," she said with a long sigh before we ended the call. That was the last time anyone brought Amanda up to me. She quickly faded from my life. No more texts, no more calls, no more desperate attempts to guilt me back into her world. Finally, I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't experienced in a long time. As I climbed into bed that night, a sense of lightness enveloped me. It wasn't just because Amanda was out of my life, but because I finally understood something I had overlooked for far too long. I wasn't responsible for her survival. I had spent years trying to fix her, to save her, to make her happy, but she had never wanted saving. She craved an easy life, and the moment I stopped being her crutch, she crumbled. Now, I could finally move on, ensuring that someone like Amanda would never enter my life again. However, I was wise enough not to assume she would remain absent. I knew her well. When her needs eventually outweighed her pride, she would come for the only things she believed could still grant her access to what she wanted, Caleb and Sophia. Though she had never loved them, they were a means to an end for her. If she couldn't extract money from me directly, she would find another way to manipulate me. Determined to prevent that from happening, I scheduled an urgent appointment with my lawyer, Mark. As I entered his office, a wave of anxiety settled over me. "Sit down," Mark instructed, pulling out a folder. "I suspected this was coming. Amanda has no source of income now, does she?" I shook my head. "She lost the apartment. She's staying in a motel." Mark nodded, taking notes. "And she's reached out to you for money more than once?" I grimaced. "She tried to use the kids to guilt me, but when that didn't work, she just disappeared." Mark sighed, his expression grave. "That won't last. She's waiting for the right moment, probably hoping you'll let your guard down." I clenched my jaw, feeling a pit of dread forming in my stomach. "That's why I need to ensure she can't touch my kids, now or ever." Mark opened a file, revealing various legal documents. "We have options. Since Amanda was never their legal guardian, she has no automatic custody rights. But that doesn't mean she won't try to file a claim." I frowned, anxiety gnawing at me. "On what grounds?" He gave me a knowing look, filled with the weight of experience. "Amanda is manipulative. If she plays the caring stepmother role in court, she could convince a judge she has emotional standing in their lives." "She barely noticed them when we were together," I scoffed, incredulous at the thought. "Doesn't matter," Mark replied, his tone matter-of-fact. "Family court isn't always about the truth. It's about who tells the better story." My stomach twisted at the realization. So how do I ensure she never gets the chance? Mark turned to a new page in his file. We update your will and custody plan. You need a legal guardian in place in case anything happens to you, someone Amanda can't challenge. I nodded quickly, my mind racing. Olivia. Mark raised an eyebrow, intrigued. The nanny. Yes, I affirmed. She's more of a mother to them than Amanda ever was. She's been in their lives, understands them, and truly cares. Mark considered this, his expression thoughtful. It's unusual, but not impossible. If we build a credible case, we can ensure Olivia gets full custodial rights over the kids if anything happens to you. I inhaled deeply, the weight of the discussion pressing down on me. I didn't like contemplating the what-ifs, but I knew it was necessary. The stakes were too high, and I would do whatever it took to protect my children from Amanda's toxic influence.